And here we are, game one of the elimination match. DRG and NightMare, honestly, they both kind of got bopped by Beyond and Maru, respectively, in the first couple series. So this is their opportunity to show us what they're worth, and maybe, just maybe, get a rematch or a first match against Beyond in the finals. But for now, it's game one. So what do these players have in store for us today? This is, of course, PvZ. So 99 times out of 100, I'm not paying attention as much to the early game. Not until the cyber core's down. You know, there's not a proxy possibility for the most part. But of course, these are the GSL games. All right, this is the product of weeks of preparation, where NightMare, you can guarantee that he has a build lined up for every game, for every potential losers match player. He had a build lined up for every single game against Maru that fed into each other. Maru had the same idea. And even if it's playing standard, you're playing standard because that's a means to an end, because you believe that is the best possible way to beat your opponent. And that's what makes the GSL, honestly, a lot of fun. I love weekend tournaments. That's probably the majority of what I do. I guess ESL Masters, DreamHack Masters is... what's the word? Or, you know, they do have a little bit more preparation there, because during the group stage, players play like one game a day. But there's a difference between playing like 1 or 2 series a day over the course of 2 weeks and having one concentrated play day. You're going to play up to 3 series. You're going to win, move on, lose, go home right there. But you have so much time to prep for it. It is a different skill set. And, you know, while I hesitate to bring this up because I know in the it's going to start a war in the comments, but also, hey, you know, engagement. It is one of the, I'm not going to say a compelling argument, but it is one of the arguments as to why maybe Cyril is not the GOAT, because he never truly won a GSL. And yes, he did win tournaments on Korean soil, but that was a GSL versus the world. That was a weekend tournament. That is a format that Cyril has proven over and over again that he has been and is probably the best player in the world at. On average. Obviously, he doesn't win every single weekender, but close enough. And I would love to see him go do the GSL, but the other side of this is, of course, that the entire year of GSL now is worth less than 1 season of GSL last year. So the gravitas, any sort of worth that would, like, prior to this year, Cyril did not consider it worthwhile to go over and play in the GSL, because you'd have to go live in Korea for a month, and it's just probably not worth it. Not worth it to him. But now it's even less worth it, because the prize money sitting in the GSL is just, it's vanishingly small. Like, there is absolutely no victory here. So the Lings, now they're going to get on top of an Adept, and hey, they play a ring around the rosy. The Adept will fall, but all the Lings die too. Not bad. But now, Oracle on the other side. And, you know, the other downside of this for NightMare a little bit is the fact that DRG went and, well, he forced the Oracle energy out. So now this Oracle, instead of having, I don't know, 60, 70 energy or something like that, whatever, it's not going to be able to kill as many drones. It's not nearly going to have the damage reserves that it might otherwise have had. So for now, DRG, he's pretty happy. And by the way, what I do like is the fact that he has actually opted to go for spores. I feel like I see so many Zergs die. I've seen so many Zergs die in the last couple months, because a Zerg in general will just say, yeah, I don't need a spore. I got queens. And then triple Oracle dives and they wipe out a mineral line, and it's like, was this worth it? Was losing 10 drones worth not getting a spore? I mean, if you do the calculus, a spore is worth like 3 drones-ish, right? 75 minerals. You lose a drone to make it, you have to remake it. It's like, I guess, 4 drones, you know, whatever. Point being, it's not worth 10. It is the extreme hubris of some Zergs that it shouldn't really happen. But for now, the Oracle's NightMare a little sketchy on that micro. Doesn't pull them quite far enough back. Both get into the yellow. In fact, that one may be orange. No. But of course, behind this, NightMare, as he will suffer from a bit of a counterattack here, 2 drones or 2 probes will fall. NightMare is going into hero style behind this. Blink on the way, +1 on the way, no robo, right? If you go pure hero style, which actually, the funny thing is, hero has stopped kind of going for a little bit. He's getting the robo a little bit more often. But regardless, the pure pressure of NightMare is going to start to commence here. And NightMare is going for the traditional way you deal with this. Kind of, I didn't see whether he stopped at 50 and built a bunch of lings, but he's building them now. His +1 is going to be done pretty soon. Baneling Nest is done. He's adding in 2 additional hatcheries here, so he'll be at 5. And he's going to rely on massive amounts of Ling Queen to make sure that he can defend against this. But this is a tricky engage. The creep is not all that far forward off the 4th base. Stalkers are actually going to knock down the tumors very quickly here, and the Lings are not quite ready. And by the way, stasis traps, they're massive! They're absolutely massive here. And now half the army of DRG cannot fight, so seems like he's going to have to give up the 4th base. I don't really know what he's going to be able to do to stop that. Queen transfuses are nice, and more Lings have to get made. And look at this stasis trap. Great job there from DRG. Make sure that he does not trigger it. And now, NightMare does have to back up a little bit, because the Lings now, they're all going to get ready. They're going to get massive surrounds here on top of everything. That secondary stasis trap is not going to get nearly as much, but the Stalker wall will not be broken. And now they're going to run forward. Queens, they continue to fall down here. And Queen Ling, against this amount of Stalkers, it's just not really doing the damage that it needs to. DRG, though, is doing a fantastic job of dealing with these stasis traps. The first one was horrendous, was perhaps game deciding, but after that he's been doing a good job of sending individual Lings forward. As now NightMare blinks backward gently as much as he can, and Lings are going to start falling. The Stalkers, they're really just not dying yet. More Lings, they filter in, but now it's just Queens, all that remain. NightMare with a 20 army supply lead. This 4th base is dead, and the Queen will not give birth to itself, so Lings pop out. They will now fall. It's 3 bases to 3, excuse me. And NightMare, no intentions of expanding, not really. He senses death in this game number 1, and it seems like he is destined to find it. The Queen's out of energy for the most part. They have 1, 2, 3 maybe transfuses remaining. Banelings are now here, but Banelings against a bunch of Stalkers are really not what you want. I guess it forces the Stalkers to split a little bit, which means Lings get a little bit more surface area, and that's something. But the army of DRG falls down. The Queens will die, and NightMare establishes supremacy in this first game. He moves up 1. Now, game number 2. NightMare up 1. His Blink Stalkers were just too good, and that stasis trap bought him so much room. So now, what does DRG do in response? Does he have what it takes? Altitude's a big map. It's a Zerg map. That's a good start. Okay, so for now, even on a map as big as it is, we're not going to see NightMare go. Or excuse me, we will see NightMare go, and he will get the hatch block off. So DRG is going to have to take the 3rd. And one interesting thing that we've started to see Zerg players go and... what's the word? See some players go, and they're actually going gas cancel into a 15 hatch. So they get supply blocked 15 out of 14. They take their natural on location. And the logic is, I guess, that, yeah, you know, you lose a little bit of money on the gas cancel. It's not quite as efficient, but it is worth more than the money you lose by having to long distance mine and kind of the awkwardness of defending against adepts and things by having to take your 3rd base as your natural. So I don't know. It's brand new into the meta. It is primarily the North American Zerg meta. We've seen Scarlet do it a bit. It's kind of the big one that I'm seeing do that. But it is going to be something to keep an eye on, whether this is going to be something that we're going to see more Zerg players start to do. And by the way, when I say North American Zerg meta, that's actually not even fair, because Scarlet is in Korea right now. So but for now, nothing like that. Cybercore done. And this looks like, oh, okay, never mind. Twilight before Warp Gate. Whew. This is an aggressive option coming in from NightMare indeed. What is this gonna be? It could be very quick. It could be very quick Dark Templar. The gas, I think, lines up for that one pretty nicely. It could just be fast Glaives. I don't know. But I'm excited to find out because, again, this is super quick. And now, yeah, seeing the Robo go down. Likely not Dark Shrine because you would get the Dark Shrine before the Robo if that's the case to make sure things line up properly. So, seems like it's going to be a Glaives build. Coming out of NightMare here in game number 2 of our series. He's got a 1-map lead. Don't hate that. And I guess even more importantly, well, wait, is it? No, I guess it is. Yeah, Dark Shrine. Interesting. It's a pretty quick Robo for a Dark Shrine. Normally it goes the other way around because it takes longer, I think, I'm pretty sure, for a Dark Shrine to build than for a Robo. But I guess he wants to... okay, it makes sense. You just want to make sure you have the War Prism on the map by the time the Dark Shrine's done. And I'm just not up to date quite enough with my DT builds. Okay. So Baneling that. Ooh. DRG going for thinking about a Baneling bust in this game number 2. Ooh, this is very interesting. Now the question is DRG going to get the scout off? This Overlord... Wait, sorry. I thought I had that selected. Is he going to see it? Overlord already low as it finds its way in. Sees the Dark Shrine. Okay. DRG now knows what's up. More and more Lings are on the way. He's dropping spores here. And this is awkward now. Because there is no lair. There will not be a lair for quite a while. Defensive DTs may make this possible. But you can actually go and you can... Oh. By the way, Glaives was canceled. This is not... These adepts are fake. I mean, they're here, but they're feinting aggression. We got Shadow Stride. We got Blink DTs on here. NightMare pulling a build out, or pulling an old build out, a build that he used to kill, what was it, TY in the GSL years ago? The build that Classic used against Rogue in BlizzCon all those years ago. At least a variant of it. Now, of course, Shadow Stride has been nerfed since then. There's the backswing timing right on Blink where you can't do anything anything immediately afterwards. But I can guarantee you that this is going to catch DRG off guard. Yeah, he saw the Dark Shrine. But super quick Shadow Stride is just, you don't see that. But he will get Lings on top of this third base. And this the third Nexus is going to get canceled. I don't know that... Okay, no, NightMare did have the idea did want to get that third base after all. So he sends a probe out. And we got both Blinks on the way here. 3 DTs warping in. How many is NightMare going to build? That's a really important question. Because, I mean, I think realistically, he could go with 3 and just try to blink him in the main and save him with a War Prism or something. Or he could go like 4, 5, 6 full hatch sniping squad. So let's see what he's going to be able to do here. This Spore is actually... Oh, no. Okay. Spore moves forward. But there are Overseers on the map now. So this should be fine. DTs, they're going to blink into the main. Oh, this is fun. There's already a Spore here. This really... The only way that this finds value is if there's no... If DRG is really slow on the uptake. But now he's going to find his way in. This Spore is going to be the first target. Queen does not have the energy for the transfuse. So, well, that is a dead Spore. And the DTs are going to try to find a little bit more here, but Overseers are on the map. So the DTs, do they have they can blink onto the low ground. They're going to get a couple drones. But yeah, 3 drones into Spore, and none of them die. That's important. But 3 drones into Spore for this? For a 5-minute third Nexus and Shadow Stride? I'm not sure that I like that. I'm not sure that I buy that. Meanwhile, DRG's on 63, 66 drones, pretty much whenever he wants. He only lost 3 drones to this heavy aggression that NightMare's elected to put on. Creep is halfway on the other side of the map. Although the DTs are blinking on top of the Creep Steamers and killing them off. But this Creep spread is fantastic. It hasn't been challenged in the slightest on what is one of the biggest maps in the pools. Creep spread is over the halfway mark at this point. That's insane. And by the way, I love... This is so cool. So you see the Spore. DRG has been slowly moving it forward. He's using the Spore to protect the edge of his creep. That's so cool. That it means that his ability to fight, defend, to multi-prong, to be aware of where the DTs are, is actually so much better, so much bigger than it would have otherwise been. And now the Changelingers are going to see the rest of this army moving forward. Seems like NightMare wants to make pressure happen. But he is. not got enough here. He's got nothing. He's down literally double, not quite literally. He's down double army supply. Bailing speed's done now. +1 melee is going to be done pretty soon. DTs, I mean, I guess they're going to try to get the hatch, but there are queens here. Queens, they're not even going to bother with targeting the DTs. The Warp Prism is their friend. It's their enemy, I guess, is the thing they're going to try to target down. And now Lings get on top of the Stalker. Shield Battery Ravager is going to have to get popped pretty quickly here. And the Roaches and the Ravagers arrive as well. Nice Bile pops 2 force fields for the price of 1. And now the Bailings, they're not even exploding just yet. They can if they want to. Disruptor shots are going to be pretty nice, but this army is just seemingly insurmountable. 140 supply to 100 here. The Stalkers will continue to fall down. Probes get pulled off the line. There's detection. Defensive DTs will not save the day. This third base is dead and gone. And DRG just punishing NightMare for having a build that did not work. That's kind of the extent of things. Disruptors are good, and DRG will likely struggle to find his way up onto the high ground. And, well, hey, gets a couple Ravagers. But the Zerg's on 4 bases, and he's going up to 70, 80 workers pretty soon. NightMare can't hold on to his third. So this game is not over, but not the best spot either. There's a couple more DTs are going to try to blink in, and there is no Spore here, so that is something. DRG's vision, man, I guess he just happened to be looking there and he saw the blur, but he pulls the drones away before they can get anything done. Only 3 workers will fall. And the Warp Prism saves and picks them up, blinks away. These are the initial 3 DTs that were made, but I mean, 6 drones for DT Blink, for Shadow Stride? You need more than that. I would love, though, and okay, now we're starting to see, I would love to see a Spore just kind of on the edge on the drop-off position to make it a little harder for the Warp Prism to go and make something and find some value. But now the Queens are here. There's detection. Yeah. DRG's maxed out. He's going to go again. And this time, I mean, we're going to need the biggest possible disruptor shots. Disruptor shots on a bigger than I'm not even sure that they are possible. 126 army supply, 256. +1 versus +1, +2 about halfway done. And now Roaches and Lings coming in from every side. Disruptors are going to go out, and nice splits. Only a couple Bailings will fall. Version 1. Second one gets nothing. Third one seems like it's going to get 3 Roaches. Fourth one moves out, and it gets not even that. Actually, it looks like it was targeted down. So those were not the miraculous disruptor shots that were needed. There's a recall here on I don't even know what, the Warp Prism maybe. And DRG ties this up. NightMare, his build just didn't work. And we're going to game 3. And now, third and final game on Babylon. We saw NightMare execute very well on aggression game number one. He killed DRG pretty quickly. Game 2, that aggression didn't work. 6 total drones over the course of 8 minutes on Shadow Stride DTs. I mean, you need more than that. Game 3, though, see what he got. And by the way, in a best of 1, effectively for what this is, what does a legal act say? Ooh. NightMare has literally never beaten DRG. That's actually somewhat surprising to me. I feel like NightMare has, or I would generally put NightMare and DRG, I think on a pretty similar, skill level, I think. But, I don't know. Maybe not. DRG, of course, has ebbed and flowed in terms of his skill. I mean, he hit, what was it, top 4, I think, of GSL last year, or at least top 8. I mean, that was for a while, actually, I think DRG had the best GSL result of anyone returning from the military. Of course, before Hero won a GSL last year and made finals and others. But maybe I'm just not giving DRG the credit he deserves because I don't see him in online cups for the most part. I don't see him in, you know, EPT cups, things like that. And when I do, he's running into, you know, one of Beyond or Dark or Maru, or not Maru, but like one of Beyond or Dark or Hero and losing out. But also, I guess DRG is one of those players that very much benefits from the GSL format. One of these old veterans who does a very good job of making sure that they understand what's happening and can properly prepare for potentially a 5 or a 3 series day, right, in GSL groups. So I guess really what it is I'm not quite giving DRG the credit that he deserves, but still, NightMare never taking a series is somewhat surprising. Anyway, NightMare going back to the magic that worked for him in game number 1. It's a Stargate opener. We're not going to see Twilight before Warp Gate. That supremely quick idea that we saw in game number 1. As the Adept moves in, gets a Ling, runs out, of course. So we're not going to see that insanity. Now, I would love to be talking about trying to figure out what exactly DRG is going for in a game like this, because, hey, you know, DRG, we've talked a lot about what NightMare wants to do, but I think realistically, unless the Zerg player is going for some sort of timing, and we've kind of passed the breakpoints for most of those by now anyways, no quick lair, no quick Roach Warren, kind of those are the big ones, no quick Baneling Nest. We do see Raynor, for example, go and try to do a Baneling Bust, something like that. In general, we passed the breakpoints. It's now the Zerg just wants to get into the mid game. 3 hatch, mass inject, get up to 66 drones as quick as possible. And it really is on NightMare to figure out, to set the tempo here, to figure out what exactly he wants to do. As Oracle dives in, gets 3 drones, and hey, you know what? For the first, it's gonna get 4 before getting onto orange. Not bad there, NightMare. That's a pretty solid opener. And of course, we're gonna see him kind of snap back pretty soon. But he is gonna go for really one of the quicker blink +1s that we've seen, that we see in builds like this. Skipping that 3rd Oracle means you have a lot more gas that you can get that quicker Twilight. And that does mean that right around, it really is the 630 mark for the most part, you're able to go and you're able to really start pushing. Blink is done, +1 is done. And it can hit a timing when the Zerg is trying to drone up, when the Zerg is kind of caught between tech, caught between transitions. And if that's what you want to go for, it can work out fairly well. Now, the other option, of course, is that this is for charge and Archons. But A, the fact that we have Forge tells us it's not that. And B, consider the fact that it is 4 gas means that is not going to happen. So Blink is on the way. Additional gateways on the way. As Oracle tries to dive in, gets another drone. Hey, good job, NightMare. The hilarious thing, by the way, is the standard macro opener has gotten more drone damage than the tricky Blink DT type of opener that we saw in the previous game. So I guess there's a reason that some things are meta and some things are not. Is how that one works out at the end of the day. So Blink halfway done, +1 on the way. And this is going to be super interesting. So first of all, NightMare is not going pure hero style. We have a Robo on the way. But more importantly, we're seeing DRG go for the exact same attempted a hold, the exact same army composition that he went for in game number 1. No Roach Warren. It's not even started, but very quick +1 melee, very quick Baneling Nest, and trying to win with just pure Lings. This is a punishable one. If you kill the first set of Stalkers, and that is actually in part why we have stopped seeing Stalkers move out before Blink quite as much. It used to be the play. You move out, you force units, and then you get Blinked on and you're ready. We don't see that as much anymore, strictly because this heavy Ling style has started to show up a little after this last year. And if you lose those first 6-7 Stalkers, the tempo's all gone. You really do not have the pressure that you're looking for. But NightMare, he's learned from that. The meta has evolved, and he is going to only move out when Blink is done. So for now, DRG, he's got a decent amount of Lings. His +1 is just about done. He's got this Baneling Nest, but no Baneling speed, so they're not going to be particularly useful just yet. But he's got to find a bevy of units here on NightMare's side of the map, and the shield battery. Not going to last all that long. +1 is done. Shield battery overcharge popped on the other shield battery, but that one's going to go down pretty much just as quickly. But now these Stalkers, they're forced home, and honestly, that's a victory for DRG. It buys him more time for the cost of 33 Lings, 15 Larva. It's fine. It really, truly is fine. He's on 70 workers. He's got his 4 bases up. And the big deal, more than anything else, is that he does not have to pull his queens forward. He's got 8 queens, and they're a powerful defensive force. But they can just sit there. They can inject. DRG can actually have the larva that he needs to fight a sustained battle. Unlike that game 1 where all of the queens had to get pulled forward defensively, which means no injects. Which means eventually DRG started to float a little bit more money. He wasn't able to fight properly, and he was not able to reinforce the army the way he needed to. So, again, Much better position for DRG in this game number 3. And as a result, he's already made a tech transition. He's sitting here on 5 gas, actually 6 gas now, excuse me. His Hydra Den is done. Hydra Range is on the way. And Hydraling Bane versus Blink Stalkers is fantastic. You have these Lings that are, yeah, they're going to die probably, but they lock the Stalkers in place. And Stalkers are squishy. Hydras, they punish that pretty well. They do so much DPS. And because even though Hydras are squishy, Stalkers fire pretty slowly. So either you target fire Stalkers and there's overkill, or the Hydras just, they do not die all that rapidly. So again, DRG, his army composition is much better in this game. The fourth base is going to go down very quickly. +1 Lings are a powerful thing. And DRG owns the map. The difference between how game 1 went and how game 3 is going is just absolutely massive. But that's not to say that this game is over for NightMare. Certainly not. He's got disruptors on the way. He's got 3 of them on the map right now, building them one at a time, it looks like. Yeah, single robo. So one at a time. We can expect to see him drop a second robo once he finally gets his 4th up. Charge is on the way. +2 is just about done. As powerful as DRG's timing is going to be, first of all, I'm kind of surprised to not see him go Hydra speed first. Because, yeah, you know, Hydra range is nice and allows you to sort of shoot over force fields better, but from what I've heard talking to pro Zergs, the Hydra speed boost is just so much more worthwhile in the current meta, because, again, this is an army you want to be aggressive with. It's not one you just kind of want to sit back and defend. That doesn't feel good. Eventually, the toss will tech out of your composition. As the Lings, they're going to get a couple Stalkers, but actually, they're going to do fairly well for themselves, and more are going to run forward here. So NightMare's just standing and fighting. Stalkers continue to fall down. The DRG, these Lings are free at this point, especially if they're trading for Stalkers, so he is very happy with that trade. By the way, he's on his 5th base now. Infestation bit halfway done. Armor, he's got double Evo now. Carapace and +1 attack on the way here. This army, it's a powerful timing now, to be sure, but it's going to get even better, especially when Vipers are out on the field. So that may be what we're going to see DRG wait for, actually. But by doing that, Protoss has a chance to max out. +3 will be done by the time that this happens. So DRG kind of missing out on some of his key timings. We didn't see Banelings running into mineral lines pretty much as that as +2 completed. You know, that's one thing. He didn't look to push with his max out at all. But now here come the Banelings finding their way forward, and these are feisty +2 Lings. The probes are going to have to get pulled. Cannon drags away the Lings for a moment, and disrupt shots and Zealots, they're going to soak a lot of this. So yeah, Zealots will fall, but I think of the grand totality of things, you would rather lose Zealots than a bunch of probes. Zealots can be replaced. Probes, they represent money that is harder. So NightMare getting closer and closer to maxing out. He's got DTs. Actually seems like he's using his DTs for Archons. I guess the ones that are a little bit more gas cheap. By now? Okay, so ooh, I don't know that I like this from NightMare, though. He's on 4 bases, 4 Nexus, and fair. And he's going to go Fleet Beacon. So he wants to move into that carrier transition, but I don't know. I'm a bit worried about the push coming in from DRG when he has everything done, right? +1 attack is done for his Hydras. +1 Carapace is done. He's setting up this massive surround coming in from every angle. The Lings, the Banes, they're going to run forward, rough shot over everything, and absolutely massive connections here. So NightMare is going to lose everything, kind of caught on the tech transition, maybe just a little bit. Regardless, he moved out on creep. He wanted to trade some supply a little bit maybe, but he didn't want to trade something like this. Oracles will fall down. Now all the Banelings, they're stasis, and Hydras do not fight well against so much as Zealots. That much is certainly true, but 17 probes hit the deck here, and the Stalkers, well, they're going to blink forward. They're going to kill as many of these Hydras as possible, but DRG is still maxed out. And NightMare's not. So he's going to build a couple more Archons. The Banelings are ready here, trying to get on top of as many Zealots as possible. And they're just going to force them away. Hydras do not split particularly well, actually, even with Hydra speed. But it's only a single disruptor in this game. The Stalkers blinking backwards as well as they can. These are 2-1 Lings, and they are shredding them. So NightMare now struggling to get above 100 supply. There is this... Oh, wait. The Lings are going to pop out in just a second. Disruptor is about to get surrounded by everything. And it's... Yeah, no shot. It gets targeted down. Unlucky stasis timing. That's not what you want. And now NightMare, he's dead. Unfortunately, NightMare will not move on into the round of 8, but DRG, he's got a shot. He's got a shot for a rematch versus Bjorn in that final match.